Okay, so I think I'm live. I'm always super unsure if everything is working. I also realized that I don't have chat pulled up and I don't know how to pull it up. So if anyone actually comes in, I'm not going to be able to see it. But I want to make sure that this is working properly. See? Yes. I'm live and my audio is working fine. Okay. So I have my laptop sat on the couch in front of me, which I don't know why I did that, but here we are. So, um, kind of like a debrief, I guess, because I have a kind of busy week uh this week, at least for me, because I am a homebody. I don't go anywhere, I don't do anything. I like to be home by myself, hanging out, watching shows and movies and YouTube, and like that's what I do for fun. I like to be home on my own. So anything that's not that is a busy week for me. And a lot of things lined up this week that are kind of just happening at the same time. So number one with work is that I work at a grocery store and we have a yearly inventory, which is exactly what it sounds like. They take stock of the inventory for the whole store. Um, this is the first inventory I've participated in since changing my job title at work. But even with my new job title, I do still uh, take part in the inventory. Like I'm still involved in the preparation for it, but on a much smaller scale than I used to be. So my old job position, I was like one of the main people that did the prep for inventory, whereas now I do a very small part of the prep comparatively to what I used to do. So we have inventory on Friday. So work is going to be a little crazy getting prep done for that because basically you have all your normal responsibilities that you have in the week, but then also have the additional responsibility of prepping for inventory. So work is going to be a little crazy for me this week because of that. And then coincidentally, um, my sister and sister-in-law are doing a yard sale this week as well, which I don't know why they settled on doing it this week because she also works at the same place where I work. So she made the choice to do it the week that we have inventory, which is kind of crazy to me, but she has a very different position than I do, so she's not involved in the inventory prep, so she's able to not work this week and focus on the yard sale instead. So yeah, it's not great though because they're doing the yard sale and I would love to help, but I'm going to be very limited on what help I'm able to provide because I'm going to be busy with work and very uh, tired after work because of everything that's going to be going on. So, yeah, they're doing the yard sale, so I'm going to try to um, stop by and help with that if I can. But I'm probably not going to be able to do very much with that. I think probably um, if they're doing it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and like I said, we have inventory Friday. So Thursday and Friday are going to be kind of crazy for me. So probably I'll only end up going to help on Saturday on the last day. Um, so I'm anticipating on Saturday. My bangs are crazy. I keep messing with them. I need to cut them, is the problem. They're too long, and they're starting, when they get too long, they start to like get into my eyeballs. But I'm a little overstimulated by my hair. I should cut those today. But yes, so I'm anticipating on Saturday after work that I'm probably going to go over there to help them clean everything up once the yard sale's over, because that'll be the last day. So I'm probably going to be doing that on Saturday. And then Wednesday, on my day off, I made plans to go to the movies because, unlike me, uh, my friend Emily is like always booked and busy and just has like a million things going on. So I always just, whenever she has time, that's when we do stuff because I'm, like I said, the complete opposite. I never have plans. So whenever she has free time, like that's when we make plans to do stuff. So Wednesday is what worked for her. So I will go to the movies on my day off, which I usually don't leave my house on my days off work. So that's like an out of the ordinary thing for me because usually on my days off, I'm not working, so I have no reason to leave the house, so I don't. But I'm going to be going to the movies. We're going to see The Back Rooms. Excited about that. I think it looks really good and it's getting good reviews, and I love horror movies in general. I watch a ton. Um, so it was already on my radar as something that I wanted to see. What I wasn't anticipating was that it was something that my friend would want to see, but she's really into like conspiracy theories and stuff. And I didn't know too much about the lore of the conspiracy side of the back rooms. I only knew about like the horror element of it, where it got the like short film, and then it they adapted it into like the game. That was the side that I was aware of, but apparently there's also a lot of conspiracy theory like stories to it as well that I don't really know anything about. But that's what the side she's interested in. I'm interested in the online horror adaptation that like blew up. Was that like 2 years ago or something like that? So yeah, we both had like this shared interest in the back room, so we're gonna go see the movie on Wednesday. And found out coincidentally, neither of us knew this. We used to go to the movies a ton back when we were in school. We don't really go to the theater too often anymore. But yeah, when we were in school, we would go all the time. And the last movie we actually went to see was Iron Lung, which I dragged her along because I like needed to see it in theaters. So we went to see Iron Lung. It was the first movie we'd seen in theaters, I think, since Evil Dead Rise. Um, so we don't go too often. And when I got on to look at the show times, I found out that our local theater actually does closed caption showings, which neither of us knew anything about. And now I'm curious how long they've been doing that. And like we just weren't aware of it because they do them on Sundays and Wednesdays. I had no idea that they did this at all. Um, but I have a feeling it's something they've probably done for a long time and I was just never aware of it. So that's why we're going specifically on Wednesday because she was available Wednesday and then like Saturday, and I found out about the closed captions, and we both like the typical millennial Gen Z thing where like you can't audio processing issues and you watch everything with captions. We're the same way. We both of us prefer to watch things with captions, and I also I watch a lot of stuff that's not in English, so I'm used to watching stuff with subtitles. So for me, it's just like default. I always have captions turned on for everything. So yeah, we're gonna go see that, and that'll be Wednesday. So like that's my week of like busy with work, have plans outside of work, which is unusual for me. And um basically it's like the whole week is going to be kind of crazy because there's something every day going on. Uh Monday, Tuesday shouldn't be too bad, but it's like the week is going to get progressively busier as it goes on. So, I have all that going on. And the main point of this video is that it was almost a week ago. It's currently Sunday. On Tuesday, I went and I got all the materials for the built-in in the dining room that I've been talking about for I think at least 2 years now. I honestly don't even know. I've been talking about it so much, but I don't know how many of like the videos I've talked about it in ended up actually becoming videos. Because sometimes I record a video and then it doesn't turn into anything. But I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in the video I did about the dining room. I think that was 2 years ago, where I was kind of like moving some things around, and that was when I initially got the idea to do a built-in the dining room, which I don't know why it didn't occur to me sooner than that, but basically I had this epiphany that I could do a built-in my dining room, like the typical when you imagine like a bench seat around a window and like the whole window is surrounded by shelves, bench under the window. That's what I'm doing. So I realized I had the space in my dining room to build one of those over the course of the past like 4 years of doing work around the house. I have acquired a lot of random skills that I now am actually confident in my ability to build a built-in, which is insane because uh, I do these videos of like doing these projects around my house, and I don't know that I've ever actually said in a video, but when I moved into my house at the end of 2020, it was November of 2020 was when I moved into my house. So, a little over 5 years that I've been living here. When I moved into my house, I had never used a power tool before, ever. Like the closest thing to a power tool that I had used was a drill, which I had like barely ever used before. Like that was, I did not have any experience with power tools. Now, I've always liked to do things with my hands and like take things apart and try and put them back together and like that kind of like interest in building things, but I'd never actually built anything before. Apart from like, the classes you take in high school when you like build some little like knick-knack type thing, which I actually really enjoyed when I was in high school, but never thought it was something that I would do in my own spare time, I guess. But yes, I've learned a lot of random skills from all these different projects I've done around the house that I actually now am capable of taking on this task that I never would have even imagined because I would have never had any idea of how to do any of this 5 years ago. So, yeah, anyway, built in the dining room. It is going to be my little home library, storage for all of my books, which used to be on shelves behind me. This is my living room. I used to have wall mounted shelves here back when I moved in that had all my books on them. And then I realized I could do shelves in the dining room, which would allow me to free up space in my living room so that I could get a big sectional in here. Because before I just had a little love seat, and I really wanted to get a bigger couch in here. So took all the shelves down. All my books are currently upstairs in my spare bedroom. Uh, on the shelves are like overflowing because I had to get rid of some of the shelves. So relocated upstairs, and now I'm finally uh working on this built-in. And when I say I'm working on it, like I have the wood piled up in my dining room. I have all of the wood, and all of the demo is done. I had some demo that I needed to do to start on the built-in. All the demo's done, and I even have some of the wood cut already. So I am currently working on the first video about the built-in. I've been trying to decide like how I want to do the video about this, and currently all of the footage I have is like unedited footage is almost an hour. So I was trying to decide like if I was gonna try and put it all in one video or what. But I think what I've decided to do, instead of having to cut a bunch of stuff out, because it's kind of one of those things I like to really talk through the process of like everything that I'm doing, because it's interesting for me personally when I go back and I can watch the video and like remember all of the different elements that went into it. I do that sometimes with the video I did about the built-in in the bathroom. There's so many little things that I had to do that, these years later I've forgotten about, but then I go back and I'm like, oh wow, that was it was more involved than I remember. There was a lot of things that I needed to do. There was a lot of about that project I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just figured it out as I was going along. So, yeah, I don't want to cut a bunch of this stuff out because I want to be able to have it to look back on in the future. So, I think what I've decided to do is the first video, which is like the footage that I have now, is gonna be the process of planning everything out and the demo for the built-in. And then the second video will be the actual building process of like getting everything together, like getting all the material um, cut and then actually like installing everything. So like the build part of it. Whereas the first video is just all the prep to be able to start the building. So like I said, the prep process did involve a little bit of demo because I had to remove. My cat has the zoomies. There is like no way that my mic did not pick that up. I think you can probably hear him yelling, and his claws scraping across the floor as he zooms around. But yes, so a little bit a little bit of demo because I had to remove the baseboards. I had to do some demo of the a part of the wall, which will make more sense in the video. I had to remove some trim. So like there, when I say demo, like it was demo, but like not to the extent of what I did in the bathroom where I actually had to like rip the shelves out um, to be able to rebuild it. It wasn't demo in that sense, but I did do some demo to prep in order to build these shelves. So that will be the first video, me talking about like what the plan is for the dining room, and then getting all the prep work done to be able to start on the building process. And then I have all that footage is already recorded. I just need to get it edited to be able to upload it, which sometimes there's a lot of videos where I have the footage for a year before I finally upload it. So I'm gonna try to not have it take that long, but we'll see. A lot of the times I forget about it and then come back like a year later and realize that I never uh edited the footage for the video. But all that footage is already recorded. And then, like I said, the second video will be the actual building. Like I gotta get all the pieces cut to size, and then I've gotta um, paint everything, and then actually like do the building of getting everything screwed together and actually put in place, which I'm really excited to start on the building and actually see in front of me because I can't really like visualize stuff. I think I've talked about that in other videos. I have like the aphantasia where like you don't have good vis you don't have a good ability to visualize things in your head. um yeah, so I don't have like a strong ability to be able to visualize things. So it is really awesome for me when I can actually start putting the thing together and see it in front of me. And that's when I can actually be like, oh, okay, like my plan is actually working and looks good in person, basically. So I have planned a lot of it out. I started planning this, like I said, I think it was 2 years ago now that I got like the rough plan of what I wanted to do. And then I over the course, I think it was a month ago that I cleared out the dining room to paint. And then I had like the room cleared out, which I cleared it out because I needed to paint the ceiling. So I cleared a bunch, actually like took a bunch of the furniture out of the dining room so that I could paint the ceiling, and I want to get paint splatter all over the place. Um, and something in my brain, having the room empty, made me want to start working on the built-in. I was not planning on doing it this year. I was going to push it off for another year, so that I could um, finally get the painting around the house done that I've been wanting to do. But like I said, something in my brain, seeing the room empty, I was just like, oh, I need to start doing the built-in. I have to, like, I can't even explain it. It was just something flipped in my head, and I just started working on it, like right after I got the painting done. So, yes, once I decided that I was apparently going to start working on the built-in, that's when I started kind of jotting down more notes and getting more specific measurements on what I would need. And then, like I said, last week, I actually went and I got all the wood, um, which was, it was a process for me because I had to buy a lot of wood, but then I also had to get all the wood cut. And I just hate inconveniencing people, even though it's literally their job. I hated that I had to, like stand there while I had them do all these cuts for me. But I decided I was originally going to get like half of the wood now and then half later, but I realized how stupid that was to like make two different trips. So I kind of bit the bullet and was like, no, I'm gonna get it all at once and, just force myself to like stand there and have them help me, and it's fine. Like they're not bothered by it. It's literally their job. You're the only one that's bothered by the fact that you're like inconveniencing them. Um, and I've never like I go to Lowe's for all of my construction-y type things, and they're always super nice. They never seem remotely inconvenienced by helping you. It's just me that feels bad for having them, come in for like 20 minutes, like do all these cuts for me. But yes, so I got the plywood sheets, I got them cut down to smaller sizes. Somehow managed to get it all in my car, but barely. Like there was just enough room that I could get into the driver's seat and drive back home. Um, but yes, so that was quite a process to get all the material. I definitely made it harder on myself because I could have gotten my brother to help me. He has a truck. Would have been a lot easier um, if I had just had him go along with me with his truck. But one of those things. I didn't want to inconvenience someone, so I went by myself in my little car and figured it out. But whatever. Got all the wood is what I'm trying to say. I got all the wood, which was a huge hurdle for me to get started, was process of getting all the material. So that's done. I now have everything I need. I have all the wood. I got screws. I think I have enough screws. We'll see. I might have to do another run to get more screws. I really don't know how many I'm gonna need. Um, but I have quite a lot, but I still might need more. So I might have to go back out to get more screws. Um, I do have like a $5 coupon that I think I have to use in like a relatively short period of time. So anyway, might need more screws. Uh, I should have enough construction adhesive. Honestly forgot to check, but I think I have a whole unopened tube downstairs. But that should be the only potential things that I might need is more screws and more construction adhesive. I should have plenty of wood glue because the last time I bought wood glue, I bought like 5 containers of it. So I should have enough of that. I already have the paint to paint everything because I am painting the wood. My carpentry skills are not good enough to be able to leave it as like raw wood and stain it. I'm not that good. I also don't have the right tools to make like really straight, perfect cuts. All I have is a circular saw, and like, yeah. So I am painting it. Um, I do personally, when it comes to bookshelves, I think white shelves look really good for book storage because the designs on books, like 9 times out of 10, a lot of the time the coloring on the spines of books is black. I don't know if anybody else has ever noticed this. A lot of time it's black or like dark colors. And so they really pop nicely on light colored shelves. And I say this from experience because I always had black shelves. And then when I had the floating shelves, they always popped nicer off the white of the wall versus like having a black background. So I do specifically want the shelves to be white, so I'm painting them the same color as the wall, which is like a what I have behind me, this like warm toned white. Um, and yes, I have all the paint for that. And then my little um, jotted down doodles for reference of me trying to visualize things because I can't visualize it well. So I have a lot of like random notes for myself. This probably makes absolutely no sense, but I was trying to help myself visualize different aspects of things with the shelves of like, oh, how many, this was me, I was trying to figure out how many pieces of the wood would only be visible from one side because some of the boards I'll only need to paint one side of them because the other side is going to be against a wall. So that was what this was. And then I have some notes like trying to figure out spacing for shelves because the shelves on the sides, which I think I'm still going to do, I wanted to do adjustable shelves, which I think I'm still gonna have some adjustable shelves, but then I think I'm gonna also have fixed shelves to add stability. So I think I'm gonna do a mix of both. But this was me figuring out spacing for the shelves based on the size of books, which is all of this nonsense here. This is how my notes typically look when I'm like figuring out something, is it just turns into like complete chaos. But this was me, like I got, how tall are market paperbacks? How tall are paperbacks? How tall are hardbacks? And then using those measurements and the height of the shelf to figure out how many shelves I can have based off of the spacing, basically. Like I was trying to figure out, how many shelves can I fit if my shelf is 65 inches tall and each shelf needs to be 10 inches tall in order to hold a hardback book? How many shelves are going to fit, factoring in the width of each board? That's what all of this is. Um, and if you're curious, the answer is six. I can fit six shelves uh, on either side of the window. Plus, the shelves are going to be um, roughly 15 inches deep. So I could have the shelves like two rows of books if I needed to. That's not the plan, but if I ever ran out of space, I could have them double stacked. I could potentially do like a little riser so that I could still see the back row. I don't think I'm ever going to have that many books personally, because I've really changed my thought process on what I choose to buy and keep. As far as books, I really only collect books by certain authors that I really like. So I don't think I'm ever gonna have the like book collection that I did when I was a teenager, and I would just buy literally every book about vampires that existed. So yeah, but this is a ton more space than I used to have when I had my um, four shelves with all my books on it. This is more space than that. So I know that all of my books are going to fit on here. I'm actually going to have more space than I need, which is always good to have space to grow. I don't want to build these shelves and already be maxed out on space. That would not be ideal. So yes, I'm building these, maxing out the space that I have around these windows. I'm making the shelves as big as I can um, with what I have here. Obviously, I where I'm putting the shelves, I'm making them as big as possible. They're going from floor to ceiling, from wall to wall, like they're encompassing the windows. So they're going to be as big as they can be, and putting in as many shelves as I can, maximizing the height of the shelf. I'm not going to have like a lot of, a bunch of dead space, which is the thing that I always hate about prefab bookcases, is that for some reason the shelves are super tall. I never understood that. I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with prefab bookcases anymore because it always pissed me off so much. I'm like, why is the shelf 14 inches tall? No book is 14 inches tall. Like, why do they build them like that? I don't understand. Not important. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. So yes, I'm making sure I don't have that issue. I'm not going to have a bunch of dead space on my shelves because the shelves are too tall. So, yes, I'm making sure I'm utilizing the space as much as I can with how, they're going to be laid out. I'm going to try and not have wasted space like that. I am kind of limited a little bit with like the shelves above and below the window are obviously the height of those are going to be set based on the space that I have. So those will be a bit taller, but then I'll use those shelves specifically because they're going to be tall shelves no matter what. Those will be to store textbooks and comics and stuff like that that are a taller size. But yes, I do want to do some adjustable shelves because my thought is um, I want the shelves to be versatile, that they could be used for something other than book storage. So if someone else were living here, they might not want to use them to store books. So I don't want to have all of the shelves be fixed with the thought that they're only for book storage. So I like the idea of some of the shelves being adjustable because then you could take the shelves out and maybe hang coats in there or something like that. So I'm trying to make them function uh, for other things as well, I guess, is kind of the point. So I do want to do that. I'm hoping that um, the adjustable shelves, I should be able to do that no problem. I already have a jig to do it. I've actually done it before. So that shouldn't be an issue. And I have hardware already, like the little shelf support things, because anytime I've had an old piece of furniture I've thrown away, I've always kept those. So I actually have like a little collection of those already, and I think I should have enough for what I need. So yeah, a lot going on, and um, it's kind of crazy because, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, is that I have like a busy week ahead of me. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to work on it at all this week because I'm just going to be like so drained from like everything going on. And then I haven't been able to work on them at all this past week because I haven't felt good. So just a lot of bad timing because I really wanted to uh, work on them after getting everything. My plan is that busy week this week. That was the other thing. I almost forgot about this, which is insane. So I have a really busy week this week, but then I'm off work all next week. Completely coincidentally, I did not know when I took I because I put in my time off months ago without knowing that all of this stuff was going to be happening this week. Like, I didn't know that we were going to have inventory. I didn't, like, my sisters just decided to do this yard sale like last week. It was super last minute. So I didn't know any of this stuff was going to be going on. Um, just happened to line up that, like, I had this super crazy week and then I'm off all next week. So, what I was hoping, this was like the plan before, like, I knew all this was going to be going on, is that I started working on the built-in with a thought that if I got all the materials that I needed for the built-in and had everything like prepped and ready to go, that then when I'm off next week, I would have the whole week to work on the building process. Um, but now, like I said, I this past week I haven't been able to do anything because I didn't feel good, and then this week is going to just be busy, so I don't know if I'm going to have the energy to work on it. It will really all depend on how I feel, like when I'm come home from work, if I'm going to be too drained to focus on it at all. But what I wanted to try to do was to like have all the boards like get all the cuts done because I have like the way that I'm building this, I'm doing it that it's like minimal cuts, all really like just basic screw one board into another board. It's going to be very just straight, blocky, like boxes, right? So I was going to get all the cuts done and then get everything painted. And so then next week when I'm off work, I could just focus on the building. But now I really don't know what I'm going to be able to get done before next week, if I'm going to have the energy to do anything, if like next week I might just want to like lay around and do nothing because I'm going to be so drained. Like I don't know. I'm hoping that I like get the inspiration because it's always like once I start working on it, like then I'm focused on it for the next like 4 or 5 hours, which is what happened with all of the demo that happened. Like I just have a day where I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna like chip away at a little bit of this. And then 3 hours would go by and I had like everything done, right? So I'm hoping that I just like have a day where I'm like, oh, okay, let's get some of this wood cut, and then I'll just I'll power through and I'll get all the cuts done. Because all the cuts are just basic straight cuts. I just need to get the boards cut down to the exact size I need. Because I got like the basic cut done at Lowe's, so like everything's like cut down to uh, basically the size that I need, and just I have to do some of the more specific cuts that I need. Like some of the boards I have to trim down just like an inch, and then I have some where it's like, oh, I just gotta trim this down to the exact size that I need. I gotta cut off like 2 inches or whatever. So they're all basic straight cuts, nothing crazy. They're not gonna be hard. It's just gonna be a matter of I gotta do all the measuring and marking and cutting, which when you have 17 boards that all need to be cut, it the time adds up, right? Um, so it shouldn't take a super long time. It's not like a difficult task. It's just that I have a lot to cut. Because yes, I do have 17 boards. Um, and every single board needs at least one cut done to it. Um, so yeah, that's what I was hoping I'd work on it today. I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm still not feeling the best. So probably not gonna do it today, but that is the next task is to like mark out each of the like I want to label each of the boards of like this this sheet is going to be the left side of this box, and like this sheet is going to be the bottom piece for the bench, and like label everything, mark out the cuts, and then get all the cuts done. Once all the cuts are done, then I want to paint everything. I have decided I want to paint it before I build it, um, because I just think it's going to be easier. That was the one thing that I wish I had done with the bathroom built in, is that I wish I had painted the boards first. I wish I had sanded and primed the boards before I started building, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that how stupid it was to not do that first. So I like built everything and then I was trying to sand it after it was already in the bathroom. It was a mess. I learned my lesson. So now this time the I got nicer plywood that's already sanded and primed, but I still want to paint it because I think that's going to be much easier to just paint the boards first. That way I'm not trying to get into all the little nooks and crannies. I can just, roll the paint on super easy. And then once everything's built, all I'll have to do is like caulk the little um like corners so that everything's nice and clean. Um, cover up any of the gapping that I'm sure I'll have because my cuts aren't going to be perfect. Um, I'll do all that and then just go in quick with, a brush to um, paint that. And yeah, I think that's going to be so much easier than trying to paint it once it's together. My main concern is like if the paint is going to get dirtied or messed up during the building process. It might all be in vain, I don't know, but that's my plan. I've debated it a lot, but I just think it's gonna make more sense to paint the boards first, even though the logistics of painting the boards is a little bit of a nightmare because they are 8 feet long. I still think it's gonna be easier than trying to paint them once they're all already in place. So yeah, it's kind of there's a lot of like positives and negatives doing it either way, but I think I want to try painting them first. I think it'll be a good reference after doing the built-in in the bathroom. Um, I didn't paint them first, and yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of like rambling. I'm like trailing off thinking about this. But yeah, so I do want to paint them first. I'm going to talk about all this way more in the actual video of me working on them. Um, which, like I said, I thought I was going to do that today. I was going to record the next part of that video, but I think I'm going to hold off on that for now. Maybe Tuesday after work, I'll work on it. But like I said, I'll have to wait and see how I actually feel. Um, I don't know how crazy work is going to be this week, um, with doing the prep and stuff. Probably my busiest day is going to end up being Thursday, the day before, because I'll have to make sure all the prep is done before I leave on Thursday. Um, because then they'll start first thing Friday. But anyway, actual video is going to happen. I don't think I've uploaded a video in like 2 years because every time I go to make a video, I realize that I should hold off on doing a video because I was gonna do a video update on the living room and then realized that I should hold off until I got a few more of the final details done. But now I got that stuff done, but I can't record the video because I have stuff sitting in here because I had to move stuff out of the dining room. So now there's like random stuff from the dining room in the living room. So now like it's not really in a good state to do an updated video on. So yeah, and then I was gonna do a video about the dining room, and then I suddenly decided to start working on the built-in. So then that video, I recorded it, and then it was immediately like outdated. So um, yeah, but I have an actual video now about doing the built-in that once I have it edited, it'll be like my first upload in 2 years of me doing a project, which is exciting. The, it's kind of crazy. This is the biggest project I've ever done in the house, but so far has felt the least overwhelming because I've learned so much from all the other projects that I've done that I'm going into this with so much more knowledge about what I'm actually doing that it doesn't feel as overwhelming as the other projects did because um like I said, the built-in in the bathroom was my first time ever using power tools. Like it was my first time using a circular saw, first time using a nail gun. It was my first time doing drywall. It was my first time doing demo. It was my first time doing everything. So I really just learned as I went. And then in the kitchen, um, there was a lot of first for that as well. I was slightly more knowledgeable, but it was still like a lot of first for that. Whereas now going into this, like everything I learned from those two projects, I can now apply to this, and I feel so much less overwhelmed because like I was like, oh, I've actually done all of this before. Like I already know what I'm doing, which I actually it comes up a few times in the first video when I was working on the demo. Um I'm like talking about different things that I'm doing and I'm like, "Oh, I've actually done this before." Uh so like I know what I'm doing or like, "Oh, I've actually done this in another part of the house." So like I already know what to expect. So yeah, whereas like the other times I was just kind of like playing it by ear because I didn't know what I was doing. Whereas with all the demo for this, I already had experience, like all of it. I'd already taken out baseboards, I'd already demoed walls in the house, I'd already taken trim down, like I'd already done all of this stuff in other parts of the house, so I knew exactly what I was doing, which was honestly a fun experience because the demo went so much faster and so much more smoothly. I didn't have like any um like, oh, that didn't go well, or oh, I don't know how to do this. Like everything went fairly easily, and I got all the demo done in like 3 days, I think. Um, of like 3 easy days of demo where everything just went really smoothly. So, um, yeah, it's been fun so far doing this, which is always like the goal is that I just want to have like a good time because I find this stuff fun. But uh with a lot of like home projects, there's always like a really fine line between enjoying yourself and frustration. And this project so far has been more fun than frustrating, which has been a nice change of pace for a home project because I usually always reach a point of frustration that's like ruins the fun I'm having. So, yeah. All right. Um, a lot of babbling, just kind of like stream of conscience. I never feel like I'm pronouncing that word properly. Of like everything that's going on, uh, finally having some fun with some home reno again. Uh, I took a pretty big break there of like doing any major projects, but this is the last really big project that I wanted to do in the house, other than the electrical is still like in progress, um, which I think I've only ever talked about, or I guess I talked about in the basement videos that I did of updating the electrical in the house, which I have started on. I didn't do any videos about that, but I have actually started working on updating the electrical, which is obviously a big undertaking. I'm not replacing all of the electrical in the house, but I'm replacing as much of it as I can because I have cloth wiring, which is bad. So, um, as much of the electrical as I'm able to replace, I am replacing, and I've done um, almost all of the living room already, and I've done some of the basement, but I do still need to update the electrical in the dining room, which will obviously be kind of part of doing this built in is that I need to finally update the electrical in the dining room as well. I only have 2 outlets in the dining room, but long story short, because like I don't want to get too much into the nitty gritty of the electrical, but some of the stuff in the kitchen will also be run on the stuff in the dining room. So like don't want to go too much into the detail, but yeah, there's only 2 outlets in the dining room, but then I do have some outlets in the kitchen that are going to be connected to the dining room circuit um, because of like where they are. Also, like the kitchen lights are going to be connected to the dining room um, because it's just, yeah, it's not important. But I do want to get that electrical done soon now that I'm doing the built-in. Um, I want to like finish the dining room, right? Like the the living room is almost completely finished. Pretty much the last thing that I need to do in the living room is get a fresh coat of paint on the walls and the ceiling in here. And then like this room is finally going to be completely 100% done. And I want to be able to say the same thing about the dining room. And the dining room, once the built-in is done, the big thing that I'll have left to do is updating the electrical in order for the room to be fully done. I'll need to get the electrical done as well. So that is on the list as far as completing the dining room. It's not like a visual thing that you'll be able to see in videos, but it is an element that um, needs to be worked on. So, yeah, uh, that's a big part about getting this built-in done is that I want the dining room. to be a finished room in the house. Uh, because I have so few rooms in the house that are like a fully 100% finished. Like I've done a lot of work in the kitchen, but it's not finished. I've done a lot of work in the bathroom, but it's not finished. Um, Really, my bedroom, like the two bedrooms, are the only rooms that I would consider finished in the house because there wasn't really anything that I wanted to do in those rooms other than painting the walls. But yeah, I want to be able to have other rooms in the house actually be finished. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, doing the electrical is an element of that because um, they're not going to feel fully finished to me if the electrical hasn't been updated. So yeah, I do need to do the dining room. Um, Unfortunately, I haven't worked on the electrical in the dining room at all yet because that is an area of the basement that is harder to get to. Um, the dining room is on top of the mechanical room of my basement, so it's hard to get to that area of the basement because my water heater and my furnace is down there, so it's hard to like get back into the corner that I need to get to in order to um, get to the outlets of the dining room. So that's why like I put that off because it's gonna be hard to get back there, but it needs to be done. And it's something that isn't a lot of work because there's only the two outlets, but um, it's just hard to get back into that corner that I need to get to. But anyway, went off on another tangent. I've been going for an hour. So that's pretty much it. Just dumping all my thoughts out of everything that's going on. I'm excited to finally get a new video up. It's been so long since I've done an actual video that has turned into a video. Um, because I've recorded a couple that I've ended up just like tossing. So yeah, uh, video soon. I gotta get that edited down, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna call it quits after an hour of rambling. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, um, I get through this week, and next week I can actually get some more work done on this built-in because I think I th like once I start the actual building of like getting the boards actually like screwed together, I think I'm just gonna like plow through it because I think once it starts coming together, I'm gonna be like 100% full hyper focus on getting the whole thing built. I thought at first I was only going to build like half of it now and then do the other half later. But as I've been working on it, I've realized that that is like not even an option in my brain. That once I start building it, I need to build the whole thing. So I'm excited to start actually building it because then I think I'm just gonna like plow through and get it all done. But I got to get through all that prep, which is always like the hard part of a project when you're doing all the prep work and like it doesn't feel like there's any like payoff because you're not like actually doing any of the building, but like all the prep is the part that actually takes the longest, and then like actually building it tends to be like the easiest part of the whole process. um because I was really dreading the demo process, and then that ended up being way easier than I was anticipating. So um I'm hoping that that energy, that ease will continue and I won't, hit any crazy unexpected obstacles. I've also just been planning this out in my head for so long that I think that's why like it's been going smoothly because I've just thought about it for such a long time and taken so many notes and thought out so many different elements of um, how different things are going to come together. I've just thought about it so much. I mean, like I said, it's been 2 years. I've been thinking about this in the back of my mind of how I was going to do different things that now that I'm actually doing it because I've thought about it so much, like I know exactly what I want to do and I'm able to just execute it um, because I've thought about it so much. So, yeah, exciting stuff. Um, my dining room or my dining room, my bathroom built-in video is honestly one of my favorite videos that I've done. I love going back and looking at the process and like the before and after. And so I'm excited to do this video because it's basically that, but on like so much bigger of a scale that like I can't even express in words how much bigger of a project this is than the bathroom. But yeah, anyway, I have other things to do. I need to stop rambling. So, dining room built in is finally happening, and videos will be coming soon.